up, y'all? Welcome to Random Wednesdays on Gratified Grad, where it's my goal to help you graduate with gratification. I'm Letitia, and in today's video, we're going to talk about time and the importance of time. Hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. One simple concept of time. So with the recent events, a lot of people have had a lot of time to just sit around and think, or to sit around and do nothing or be productive, whatever you really want to do. What I found most interesting, just in thinking about what do people do in this time, I ran across a quote that was like, during some plague is when calculus was developed. I don't know calculus. I was lucky enough to be able to bypass calculus in undergrad. So yeah, I mean, I've heard stories about calculus though. But when you have time, you can think. And I don't think that that's really conceptualized enough, really talked about, really thought about. Sometimes you don't really notice time because, in the hustle and bustle, things are just moving and going. And you just don't really notice the amount of time that has elapsed, right? Even with YouTube videos, right? Like, if they don't catch you within the first 15 seconds of their video, and even though 15 seconds, like when you say it out loud, it doesn't sound that long, but when you're actually sitting for 15 seconds, yeah, that was a long pause, right? But that was 15 seconds. Saying it doesn't sound that long, but actually living it and experiencing it, it is a bit of time. And so we know that things like grad school is over the course of 4 years. And people talk about that as, it's a long time, and this is time, out of your life, or whatever, however people want to describe it, but you're committing to something for a while. But then when you sit back and you think about the grand perspective of things, right? In life, what is 4 years? Or, 4 to 5 years, however long it takes you to get your degree. And even on the extreme end, 8 years, right? Let's double the time. Let's say it took you 8 years to get your degree. In life, and let's say you finish your degree by 30, 35. The first 8, out of 35 years, 8 years, that is even half, right? That's maybe a third or a fourth of your life, which once again, it's a perspective thought of, how much or how little time that is. But I digress. In thinking about time, I've realized that when I give myself time to do things, and time to figure things out, and time to let things sit in the back of my head, the better they come out when I am taking the tangible action that's associated with it. So, and sometimes you really just have to form it, right? You have to give yourself the time to form it. And you have to give yourself time to familiarize with how that idea looks, how that idea feels, before it can be something that you can do. Now, there is like a sweet spot within this time. So where if you sit on something for too long, you know, it's just like with fruit, right? Like fruit has a prime period of time where it is good to eat, but then sometimes you can catch it too early, right? And it's not as good as what it could have been. Sometimes, you know, you try to eat it and it's going rotten because you waited too long. You held on to that piece of fruit too long to where it's past its prime. I like to think of the same thing with time and ideas and executing different thoughts. An example of this in my life would be me looking for a home. And I remember the first realtor that I worked with, she asked me, well, what do you want in your home? And I couldn't answer her, right? Like I was trying to figure out, like I just thought, you know, homes are one size fit all, you know, I know they're not. But like the specific details, I had none. I kind of just wanted a home, and I just in my mind was gonna make do with whatever I got. And so that question though, for like that next 2 years sat in the back of my mind. And the next time that I was asked that question, I had a real answer for what I want to see in my home. Another example is learning to braid, right? Like I tried to learn how to braid 2 years ago, and I just could not figure it out. Like it was something with the fact that like 3 strands, you know, I just hadn't figured out that, you know, you pick up hair as you go along. Now I can 2-strand, flat twist, 3-strand, braid, or cornrow, whatever you want to call it. It just took time and practice before I really figured out what and how that process goes. Some things come naturally, and you know, those are the things that, you know, people are happy about, right? Because they just picked it up and they were fine with it. But what you have to really think about and pay attention to is that there was a process leading up to what you're doing that little, or you may or may not realize, contributed to whatever thing. So an example, I have no problem with speaking on camera, being on Zoom, and stuff like that. I've had people, you know, say, oh, you know, you don't mind being in front of the camera, and you don't mind talking to people, and you don't mind doing this YouTube channel. I would have never thought, because I'm basically a pretty quiet person. But it's because throughout this time, especially in grad school, though before grad school, I still talked in front of groups of people. It's because I've done all these speaking engagements. I've spoken in front of people. I've recorded a couple of videos just for playing around with the camera that like I never showed to anyone. But I did talk in front of a camera before I decided to start this YouTube channel. And so once again, that's that aspect of time, right? So time, whether or not I knew, was leading up to me starting this YouTube channel, but the things that I was doing, the things that I was becoming more comfortable with, all contributed to the YouTube channel. So I would just say, if there's anything that you are not good at and you would like to become better at, give yourself time. Have patience with yourself. Allow yourself to mess up, especially if it's the first time that you're doing something. You're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get it right. It's not going to look perfect. It's not going to feel comfortable. Like nothing about it will feel right, but it's because it's your first time, your first experience. And I challenge all of you not to give up, but to keep working at it, right? If it's something that you feel you can be good at, or if it's something that you just feel in your soul, in your spirit, that you should be doing, keep working at it, right? Like, I'm by far perfect with this YouTube stuff, but this is something that I feel like, you know, I can get better at, and I am getting better at it. And so I'm going to keep recording these YouTube videos, and I'm going to keep posting them, and I'm going to keep doing my tea time with Letitia, and it's going to get better and better as I work. So, moral of this conversation, give yourself time.